A small navigator, a fisherman wandering on the sea, a fisherman galloping in the vast ocean. Keywords of the novel. Fisherman Feng Ge no pop-ups, Fisherman Feng Ge TXT complete collection download, Fisherman Feng Ge latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. The Difficulties of Adults. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Difficulties of Adults. In Mingyang City in July, the scorching sun mercilessly roasted the earth. Walking on the road, I can't feel any cool breeze. The stuffy and hot weather makes people feel like they are in a sauna. On weekends, the bustling streets were supposed to be bustling with traffic, but there were not many pedestrians to be seen. Riding an electric bike on the road, Li Xiaofeng had to stop and wipe off the sweat that kept flowing down his face. On my phone, there are occasional reminders that the delivery time is about to expire, which adds a touch of annoyance. According to the current popular saying, Li Xiaofeng is a new Mingyang person who works hard in Mingyang. After finishing college, Li Xiaofeng stayed in Mingyang with his girlfriend. Last year, with 6 to 7 years of hard work and the help of my parents, I took out a loan to buy a small house of over 70 square meters in Mingyang, a new first-tier city. It is said to be over 70 square meters, but in fact, it only takes about 60 square meters to go to a public stall. I was quite happy when I bought the house. But with over 1 million bank loans and over 6,000 monthly mortgage payments, it's like a whip that keeps him moving forward, making him hesitant to stop and rest for a moment. Well, today was supposed to be Sunday, but he didn't dare to rest at home. Instead, he used this time to run takeout part-time and earn some extra money. Thinking of his girlfriend who was currently in a cold war with him, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel a headache. His girlfriend Lu Yun and he are classmates from the same university, same class, same college, but different majors. The two met during a big class. Due to being from the same province and having similar hobbies, the two quickly became familiar with each other. And the two of them officially started dating since their sophomore year. After graduation, we stayed together in Mingyang. In the current college romance where graduation and breakup occur, being able to persist until now, the two of them have been envied by many classmates in the class. But like people drinking water, they know their own temperature. The two of them have also started to have conflicts recently. After spending so many years together, Li Xiaofeng and Lu Yun have already reached the point of discussing marriage. But due to Lu Yun's previous insistence that they must have a house in Mingyang before they can get married. So the two never got married. Without a house, in a strange city, people are like rootless duckweed, which Li Xiaofeng can also understand. So he has been working hard all these years. In his spare time, he also goes out to deliver takeout, works as a driver, and does odd jobs, just to be able to gather enough down payment for the house one day earlier. Until last year, with years of hard work and the help of my parents, I finally managed to scrape together enough down payment. I mortgaged in a remote community in Mingyang and bought a 2-bedroom, 1 living room apartment of over 70 square meters. I was very happy when I bought a house, but after buying it, the pressure of life becomes even greater. The financial pressures of two people's food, clothing, and expenses, coupled with a mortgage and the need to save money to prepare for marriage, have plunged him into deep anxiety. He can only spend more time on work and part-time jobs. Lu Yun complained in front of him about not having time to accompany her. Not long ago, the two of them were still in a cold war due to a few arguments. In fact, he also knows that not having time to spend with her is just an excuse. The biggest disagreement between his girlfriend and him now is that he does not agree to the dowry of up to 300,000 yuan. Li Xiaofeng's parents are just ordinary fishermen on the coast of Dongjiang province. The two of them worked diligently and did their best throughout their lives to support their siblings in completing college. There's not much savings left at home. When he bought a house, his family pieced together 150,000 yuan to support him. Li Xiaofeng knew that many of these were borrowed by his parents. Now small fishermen like his parents can't make much money. Their small fishing boat can only catch fish in the nearshore. And now the nearshore has already been overfished, where can we catch so many fish? Sometimes the fish caught at sea are not enough for fuel money. Nowadays, in order to protect nearshore fishery resources, the country has set up several months of fishing bans every year. During the fishing ban, he couldn't catch any fish. His father, Li Yonglin, was already in his 50s and had to work odd jobs on abalone fishing rafts for others. His mother, Lu Xuexia, could only earn some money by rushing to the sea. At the age of over 50, it is already retirement age in the city. But in rural areas, they still have to continue working hard for their children. Maybe one day, they really can't do it anymore. He is not the only boy in their family, but also a younger brother who is 2 years younger than him. He currently works in their provincial capital and is not married yet. He is buying a house. Buying a house has already depleted his savings. The dowry money, the meaning of a girlfriend is to make him speak to his parents again. But how can he speak to his parents again in this situation? Because of this, the two have been in a cold war for half a month. Glancing at the navigation map on his phone, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but accelerate the speed of the electric scooter. Bang! With a loud impact, Li Xiaofeng felt as if he had taken off and then landed heavily on the ground. A sharp pain struck, and his eyes darkened. He also lost consciousness in an instant. Blood flowed from the helmet, onto the neck, and then onto a metal talisman hanging around the neck. The talisman seemed to flash for a moment. This talisman was discovered by Li Xiaofeng and his father when they went fishing at sea when they were young. It was found in the belly of a fish. It is said to be a talisman, but it is actually a small piece of circular silver-white metal with an unknown plant carved in the middle of the metal. When Li Xiaofeng woke up again, it was already the morning of the next day. Lying on the hospital bed, the headache is splitting. The diagnosis given by the hospital is head impact, forehead abrasion, moderate concussion, and right leg fracture. Due to the surveillance at the intersection where the incident occurred, the novice female driver who caused the accident was fully responsible for stepping on the accelerator while braking and running red lights. There is no dispute between the two parties regarding the judgment of the traffic police. The driver has full insurance and has never shown up, so they have all been handed over to the insurance company for handling. I asked the doctor privately, and when Li Xiaofeng heard that he had to lie in bed for at least 3 months before he could go to work and 6 months later, he knew it was troublesome. Sure enough, in the afternoon, the company's HR came to visit him on behalf of the company and notify him that due to violating company regulations, he worked part-time outside and had a negative impact on the company. The company will demote him from a supervisor to an ordinary employee, and will not renew his contract after it expires. After listening to HR's words, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He has been working in this company for almost 7 years. I joined the company right after graduation, and it was still a startup at that time. In the company, he has always been diligent and conscientious, ranking among the top in KPI every year. He has also been promoted from an ordinary employee to a supervisor. During this period, many external companies came to poach him, but he remained unmoved. Because he truly believes that the boss treats them as friends and believes that the difficulties mentioned by the boss are temporary. After the company goes public, they will all achieve financial freedom. Thinking that the boss recently patted his shoulder and said they were all family. Now it's time for HR to come over and inform him that he won't renew the contract. At this moment, he understood why others said that working people should never take their boss's promises seriously. Not long after HR left, Li Xiaofeng's girlfriend Lu Yun walked in, notified by the traffic police over the phone, and brought him dinner. Li Xiaofeng always felt that there seemed to be something wrong with Lu Yun's face, but he didn't know what was wrong there. In the evening, Li Xiaofeng was chatting with his sister Li Xiaomei on WeChat. To prevent his parents from worrying, he didn't dare to tell his family about the news of his injury. With a buzzing sound, the phone indicated that he had received a text message. Taking a closer look, it was sent by my girlfriend Lu Yun. Xiaofeng, I know you treat me very well, but after a period of calm thinking, I think we are still not suitable for marriage. Marriage is not about dating, it's just about the two of us. Marriage is about two families. Both you and I come from the countryside and our family conditions are not good. You have been unwilling to ask for this 300,000 dowry from your family. But now my family needs 300,000 yuan to buy a house for my younger brother in the county town and get married. My parents worked hard to raise me, and my younger brother also dropped out of school early and worked to support my education. I really can't refuse my parents' demands. We have no way to reconcile this contradiction. So let's break up. I also hope that in the future, you can find a better girlfriend. Goodbye. After reading the information, a mixture of sadness, disappointment, breakdown, and anger surged into my heart. It's like losing the things that support oneself in life, losing one's perseverance through hard work. Tears involuntarily flowed out. The breakdown of adults often occurs at this moment. The past is empty. Last night, the wind blew, and the lingering candles were like a dream. Tears shed in startled awakening, infatuation has a beginning but no end. I tossed and turned in bed for a long time at night before falling asleep drowsily. Li Xiaofeng had a long dream, dreaming of the tumultuous life of a warrior from the Muria civilization. The Muria civilization is an ancient civilization born on Earth during the Third Solar Age. This civilization is highly developed in biology and is also known as a bioenergetic civilization. They are already able to fundamentally modify the genes of living organisms, and can incorporate some genes from strong individuals and other life forms into their own genes. So the Muria civilization gave birth to many brave warriors. They lived happily on Earth until one day, the Muria civilization suffered a sudden attack from the Orion constellation in the Sirius galaxy, called the Atlantis civilization. The Atlantis civilization was a civilization that had a deep study of light. So their starships and personal armor have strong stealth capabilities, and the detection system of the Murians cannot detect them at all. Therefore, in the early stages of the war, the Murian civilization was severely damaged. Until one day, scientists from the Murians used a precious metal discovered in meteorites, combined with Murians' biotechnology, to create a new life detector that also provided strong protection, and the battlefield situation improved. This detector has been made into the shape of a talisman, which can be hung around the neck or embedded in their biological armor. Unfortunately, due to significant losses in the early stages, the Muria civilization was ultimately eliminated by the Atlantis civilization. This Muria warrior is already the last strong warrior of Muria. After being seriously injured, he saved some important information about the Muria people in a talisman. The amulet can only be opened through genes by pure Earth intelligent life. The amulet is not only an advanced life detector, but also provides strong protective capabilities, and is a key to opening the ruins of the Muria people. The ultimate amulet sank into the sea with this Muria warrior. I don't know how many years I slept under the sea, until one day I was swallowed by a fish and left the dark sea. Later, this hairtail was caught by a fisherman father and son. It was Li Xiaofeng and his father. It was not until Li Xiaofeng encountered a car accident that the life detector was activated and bound to him. Suddenly, Li Xiaofeng woke up from his sleep, sweating profusely and touching the talisman on his chest, unable to calm down for a long time. The newcomer is writing a book for the first time and lacks experience. I hope everyone can give more advice. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Not So Harmonious Hometown. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Not so harmonious hometown life may be difficult, but life must continue. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 days had passed. Li Xiaofeng chose to be discharged and went home to slowly rest. Lu Yun has not appeared yet, and the discharge procedures were handled by a close friend he found. During his hospitalization, Li Xiaofeng also made multiple phone calls and sent messages to Lu Yun, but there was no response. 10 years of love can be easily broken, sometimes women are even more ruthless than men. During his hospitalization, Li Xiaofeng barely understood the specific functions of this talisman. The greatest function of amulets is to detect life. It was also developed by the Murians to detect the Atlans. It can detect organisms within a radius of 30 kilometers and project them into his mind through brainwaves in the form of a map. How to say this feeling? If you have to describe it, it's like the game he played in college, the small map in the upper right corner. This small map can also be zoomed in and out at any time through brainwaves. This detector is indeed very advanced in biological detection, at least Li Xiaofeng has not heard of similar instruments. Unfortunately, Li Xiaofeng has not yet discovered how this map can bring any changes to his life in Mingyang. Alas, life is not satisfactory, often 8 or 9 times. It would be great if this detector could detect other things, such as underground treasures. In the historical and cultural city of Mingyang, there must be many good things buried underground. Alternatively, it could have a perspective function. Li Xiaofeng would even go to a cultural and antique store in the southern city to participate in gambling. Unfortunately, none of these features are available. Li Xiaofeng felt that the set of martial arts left by the strong Muria recorded in the amulet was still very effective. Of course, the technique is not as magical as in some novels or movies. It is simply composed of a set of breathing techniques and a set of accompanying movements. The main function is to help the Murians better obtain nutrients from food, stimulate their potential, and enable them to adapt to genetic modification more quickly. Li Xiaofeng practiced at home for a few days and felt that his appetite had increased significantly, and the speed of his wound recovery was also significantly faster. Unfortunately, due to his leg injury, he was unable to complete many movements. After staying at home for only a few days, he had a car accident and was eventually discovered by his parents. Although he repeatedly assured his parents that the situation was not serious, they still couldn't rest assured and ultimately decided to stay at home with Li Yonglin to take care of the house, while Lu Xuexia came to Mingyang to take care of him. Bus to high-speed rail, Lu Xuexia traveled a long way to Mingyang. The love of parents for their children is always wholehearted, without expecting anything in return, and the most selfless. Looking at his mother who had traveled 1,000 miles, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help feeling a tingling sensation in his heart and shouted, "Mom!" Tears almost flowed down my face. Due to the hardships of life over the years, Lu Xuexia's face is noticeably more haggard than her peers. In my memory, my once black hair is now gradually turning gray. Looking at the dusty and simple mother in front of him, Li Xiaofeng felt that he was really unfilial. It's okay to let my mother worry when she was a child, but now it's almost her 30s and she still needs to keep worrying. But what about myself? After graduation, the time spent with parents at home decreases. I always say I'm busy, but is it really so busy that I don't even have time to go home once? Do you remember the last time you went home? After Lu Xuexia arrived, Li Xiaofeng's food level improved in a straight line. Every day, either pork ribs or pig trotters, as long as they are beneficial for bone recovery, Lu Xuexia takes turns making them for him every day. So, it wasn't until more than a month later, when it was confirmed that Li Xiaofeng could walk down the ground, that Lu Xuexia returned 1,000 miles away. There are still a lot of things waiting for her at home. Before leaving, he still insisted on leaving 20,000 yuan for him. They said they knew he wouldn't be able to work these past few months and left it to him to pay off his mortgage. Watching my mother gradually fade away in my field of vision, thinking about the aging faces of my parents, I couldn't help but feel an inexplicable sadness. Although I am 3 siblings, none of them accompany my parents. In ancient times, it was important for parents to be present and not travel far, while modern people seem to have no time to even take a glance at their parents. At this moment, Li Xiaofeng finally made up his mind that there was nothing worth cherishing in this city. Go home, go home. No matter whether you can earn money or not, at least you can spend more time with your aging parents when you go back on your own. Since he had decided to go back, Li Xiaofeng no longer hesitated. A lot of things that need to be dealt with have been disposed of. The house has been listed on the intermediary, and all the household appliances have been listed on the second-hand trading website. At this time, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel grateful that the housing prices in Mingyang have been rising in the past 2 years. When I bought it, the house price was less than 20,000 yuan, but now it has risen to 30,000 yuan. After handling my own house and appliances, I quickly reached a claim agreement with the insurance company. At the moment the house was sold, Li Xiaofeng, who had no loan pressure, felt an indescribable ease. After handling everything, I gathered with a few familiar friends and sent Lu Yun a final message. Li Xiaofeng, carrying his bag and suitcase, bid farewell to Mingyang, which has been living for almost 10 years, and embarked on the high-speed railway to return home. Although Jincheng is joyful, it is better to return to one's hometown. Although Lianyuan is good, it is not a place to stay for a long time. Goodbye Mingyang, goodbye youth, goodbye love. Li Xiaofeng's hometown is located in Baishui village, Tongchuan town, under the jurisdiction of Jiangzhou city, Dongjiang province. The scenery of Li Xiaofeng's hometown is still very beautiful. A clear Baishui river winds around the village and eventually flows into the East China Sea. Not far from the village is a rolling mountain with abundant vegetation. Unfortunately, there is too little arable land, with 8 mountains, 1 water, and 1 field. Every household has little arable land. Although many families have mountain peaks, due to their proximity to the seaside and frequent strong winds, it is not very suitable for growing fruits. Most households in the village make a living by fishing or farming at sea. In recent years, due to the decreasing number of fish caught in the coastal areas, fishing alone has not earned much money, so many young people in the village have gone out to work. I don't know if it's because of the poor mountains and rivers that create trouble for the people. The atmosphere in the village is also very bad. Many people say that rural areas are simple, but Li Xiaofeng has not felt the simple folk customs here since childhood. A group of idle women in the village, if they don't go to the sea, their favorite thing is to gather together and talk about other people's family matters. They can talk about everything they don't do vividly. The village is also full of people who despise poverty and love wealth, holding high and trampling on low. If your family has power or money, there will be a bunch of people flattering you later on. If your family has no power or influence, then there will also be a group of people watching jokes behind you. Even relatives with the same surname in the village are like this. The whole village is being polluted by these people. Over the years, Li Xiaofeng's family has enjoyed this kind of treatment quite a bit. At first, I saw that Li Xiaofeng and his family had 3 college students, and the villagers flattered their family a lot. Later on, when I saw that they didn't seem to make much money after graduation and no one became an official, I started to belittle them again. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Parents are the harbor for children. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Parents are the harbor for children. After Li Xiaofeng arrived home, Lu Xuexia had already prepared the food and was waiting for him to come back to start the meal. During this period, my father Li Yonglin has been helping people with fish cutlets. Due to the distance from the shore of the fish flotilla, it is necessary to drive a boat and burn oil back and forth. So the owner of the fish cutlet usually takes care of lunch, and Li Yonglin usually doesn't come back for lunch. At noon, only the mother and son had a sumptuous meal of 4 dishes and 1 soup. A pot of steaming hot and steaming big green crabs, with the fresh aroma of seafood spreading on the surface, a plate of snail meat stir-fried with millet pepper grown in one's own vegetable garden, spicy and appetizing, a plate of green croaker fried in vegetable oil with 2 burnt yellow sides, fragrant and fragrant, a plate of tomatoes picked from one's own vegetable field, mixed with white sugar, sweet and sour and delicious. In addition, there is a pot of soup that the people of Jiangzhou will never miss, which is made by boiling dried wild abalone and wild vegetables from their own homes. Lu Xuexia brought a small plate of homemade seafood sauce to Li Xiaofeng. Tear off the steamed red crab shell, dip it in some homemade sauce, and chew on the delicious crab roe in your mouth. It's comfortable. It's been a long time since Li Xiaofeng had such a delicious meal. He smiled and said to Lu Xuexia, "Mom, the seafood you made is still delicious, much better than what restaurants outside make." Lu Xuexia smiled and said, "You make me happy. How can my craftsmanship compare to the chefs in other restaurants? It's delicious, so you can eat more." After finishing a meal, Li Xiaofeng's stomach slightly bulged. The food at home is still delicious. It's not easy to get such fresh seafood outside. However, Li Xiaofeng also knew that Lu Xuexia and Li Yonglin were at home, but he absolutely couldn't bear to eat like this. It was only when he came back that he had this meal. After finishing her meal, Lu Xuexia prepared to go out to sea with her tools. It is currently a fishing ban, and fishermen are not allowed to go out to sea to catch fish. Although Li Xiaofeng also wanted to follow, Lu Xuexia disagreed, thinking that his injuries had not been healed yet. In the end, Li Xiaofeng had no choice but to compromise. Lying on the lounge chair in his yard, looking at the deep blue sky and pure white clouds in the distance, smelling the fresh air with a hint of sea freshness, Li Xiaofeng felt that his depressed mood had improved a lot during this period. Li Xiaofeng's house consists of 3 main rooms, 1 side room, a kitchen, and a long courtyard. At the entrance of the courtyard is a cement road built in the village. There is also a large vegetable garden in the yard, where common vegetables such as chili peppers, eggplants, tomatoes, cucumbers, scallions, etc. are planted. A Sichuan pepper tree is also planted near the wall. On the other half of the yard, several lychee and loquat trees were planted, which were the favorites of Li Xiaofeng's 3 siblings when they were young. Unfortunately, the house has been built for 15 or 16 years and it seems a bit desolate and outdated. Especially now, many families in the village have built 2-story, 3-story small Western-style buildings, and their houses in this group of buildings seem a bit lonely. Li Xiaofeng was resting on the lounge chair, pondering on how to take the next path. In fact, Li Xiaofeng's return this time was also carefully considered. He was preparing to use a detector to try and see if he could find a school of fish under the sea, which was the only way that Li Xiaofeng could temporarily think of using it. If it can be used to detect schools of fish, it depends on whether he can earn more money during this fishing season. Then, with the money in his hands, he can make a down payment and take out a loan to buy a larger ocean-going fishing boat. At around 5 p.m., Lu Xuexia returned carrying a bucket. There are only a few pounds of worthless clams, and a few small stone crabs in the bucket. The total value should be just over 40 yuan. This is what Lu Xuexia, as an experienced sea runner who has lived by the seaside for decades, has gained. In fact, this is the normal way to go to the sea by the sea now. You can't catch any fish when you go out to sea, let alone go to the sea by the sea. Sometimes when watching videos of rushing to the sea online, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but sneer at the anchor's big crab on the left and a big fish on the right. This can also deceive those who haven't lived by the sea. Of course, going to sea depends on both experience and luck. If it is indeed luck, it is possible to gain a lot at once, but this only happens occasionally, not normally. More true sailors are able to earn money for their family's oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar every time they don't gain much. Moreover, traveling to the sea is also limited by weather conditions, such as typhoons, high tides, and heavy rain. When it was getting dark, Li Yonglin returned exhausted. Speaking of which, Li Xiaofeng has not seen his father for about half a year, and the last time they met was during the Chinese New Year when they came back. Compared to the Chinese New Year, the heavy burden of life made Li Yonglin feel a bit old again. Working on fish cutlets is not an easy job, let alone the wind and sun. A box of abalone weighs tens of pounds, and it's hard to know how many boxes to move in a day. Due to the limited harvest from going to sea today, Lu Xuexia decided not to sell it and instead made it into dishes on the table for the evening. 3 people gathered around the hot food on the table, eating and chatting warmly. Li Xiaofeng knows that there are usually only two people at home, parents, and they are lonely. Although Li Xiaofeng is three siblings, none of them are by his side. Sister Li Xiaomei is already married and works as a teacher in a primary school in Jiangzhou City. She usually only has time to return during winter and summer vacations. I used to work in Mingyang City, thousands of miles away from home, and it's rare to come back twice a year. My younger brother Li Xiaoqiang also works hard in the provincial capital Dongzhou City, and he only comes back more times a year than himself, which is also limited. Watching other people's families filled with children and grandchildren, it's strange that two people are not lonely. Due to Li Xiaofeng's poor health and the best academic performance among the three children, as well as her sweet mouth, Li Xiaofeng has been favored by Lu Xuexia since childhood. At that time, Li Xiaomei and Li Xiaoqiang both complained about their mother's favoritism in private, but of course, they would never dare to say it in person. By the way, in Li Xiaofeng's family, Lu Xuexia is in charge. Lu Xuexia has always been a very strong person throughout her life. Before, the family had three children who were studying, and the conditions were very difficult. Many people advised her that Li Xiaomei was a girl, and in the future, she would be from another family, so she didn't need to read so many books. But Lu Xuexia gritted her teeth and went out to sea desperately with Li Yonglin, sacrificing all three of her children. At that time, it was too difficult for a fisherman's family to support three children to go to college. The high tuition, accommodation, and living expenses for three people every year. Moreover, at that time in their village, the academic atmosphere was not very good. Many children from families drop out of middle school and leave early to earn money for their families. At dinner, Li Yonglin and Lu Xuexia, who were in good spirits, drank several glasses of baijiu because their sons came home. Fishermen at the seaside, men and women alike, have the habit of drinking a few glasses of baijiu when they are not busy. This is mainly because their working environment and living environment are humid, and baijiu can promote blood circulation. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Beach Chasing the Sea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Beach Chasing the Sea. After resting at home for over half a month, Li Xiaofeng felt like he was going to give up. He is not allowed to do any work at home, he only eats, sleeps, plays with his phone, and plays with the computer every day. On this day, under the influence of his ups and downs, coupled with the fact that looking at his legs did not affect his normal walking, Lu Xuexia reluctantly agreed to take him to the sea. After finishing breakfast in the morning, bring your commonly used sea driving tools, buckets, rakes, iron pliers, gloves, and ride an electric scooter. Let's go, rush to the sea. After riding for more than 10 minutes, the mother and son arrived at a beach. This is a beach and also the most frequently visited treasure trove for the villagers to drive to the sea. Seafood such as clams, cat's-eye snails, rock crabs, and octopus can often be found on the beach. Occasionally, with good luck, one can also discover some stranded valuable goods. Lu Xuexia usually travels to this sea. Stopping the electric scooter on the roadside, Li Xiaofeng and Lu Xuexia entered the beach together with their tools. Yo, Xiaofeng, his mother, how can you let your college students out to do this job? When Lu Xuexia came to the sea with her son, an aunt with the same surname in the village said loudly. Li Xiaofeng knew that she said it on purpose. If it's an outsider who doesn't understand what kind of person is behind aunt, they may take this statement as a joke. It's not that Xiaofeng feels bored at home and insists on coming out to play. Lu Xuexia replied with a smile. After a few perfunctory sentences, Li Xiaofeng and Lu Xuexia continued to move forward, preparing to find a sparsely populated area to start their journey towards the sea. As Li Xiaofeng watched a group of women gathering behind him muttering and whispering, and listened to the faint sound coming from behind, he knew that there must be nothing good behind them. Opening the amulet, the entire beach appeared in the form of a map in my mind. There are many red dots on the map, and upon zooming in, they are the locations of various seafood on the beach. Hee, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel secretly happy in his heart. Others need to dig open stones and sand to search for the sea, but it may not be possible to find them. And all you need to do is follow the map and follow the instructions. It's time for me to show off my skills now. Facing the map, with one rake, there is a clam, and with another rake, there is a cat's eye snail pinching the cat's eye snail that had just been dug out of the sand, the flesh of the snail that had not yet been retracted. I squeezed hard and several streams of water flew out, really relieving stress. Watching her son constantly digging out harvest after harvest from the sand, Lu Xuexia was also a bit surprised. This speed was faster than that of an old sea runner like her. As the tide gradually recedes, there are also more and more people chasing the sea on the beach. This stretch of beach is also considered a popular destination for them to travel to Haiti. Not only do people from the village come, but also some people in the town and even tourists come. Mom, there are too many people here, let's change places. Li Xiaofeng said to Lu Xuexia. Although Lu Xuexia felt that she could still dig something on the beach, there were indeed quite a few people today, so she agreed. Today is the weekend, and this is also the beach with the best sand quality near the town, so many parents in the town came to the sea with their children to play. The two of them began to move towards the nearby reef area, which was filled with broken stones and small puddles. Clams and the like are not very easy to dig, and the road is also difficult to walk, so there are relatively fewer people. Li Xiaofeng opened the map of the reef area and enlarged it. On the surface, there are scattered stones everywhere, but there are also many good things underneath the stones. Li Xiaofeng put on a pair of pliers and pulled out an octopus hidden under a small water pit stone. Lu Xuexia, who was next to her, also grabbed a skinned shrimp with pliers. Taking a few more steps forward, Li Xiaofeng quickly grabbed Lu Xuexia, who was still moving forward, and pointed to a stone, saying, "Mom, I just saw a big green crab hiding under that stone." Lu Xuexia looked at the stone and didn't see any crabs. She asked in confusion, "Feng Zi, did you read it correctly?" "Mom, I must have read it right. I just saw a big blue pliers, which have now shrunk to the bottom of a stone." Li Xiaofeng explained softly, "Look at the size of those pliers, I guess the crab needs to weigh 1 pound upwards." "Okay, I'll flip over the stone." Since her son was sure there were crabs underneath, Lu Xuexia chose to believe it and said, "Your legs are just right, you can't do heavy work, so don't do it." Upon hearing this, Li Xiaofeng could only stand helplessly by the side, watching Lu Xuexia flip through the big stones. Sure enough, after the stone was flipped open, big green crabs weighing about 1.5 pounds and waving their teeth and claws were exposed. The crab was just about to escape when Lu Xuexia quickly reached out 1 foot and stepped on its back, then took out a stretch of rubber band and skillfully tied it up. Fishermen who catch crabs usually tie them up. Otherwise, when crabs are placed together, they like to fight, and once pliers or similar things break off, it will greatly affect their value. Wild green crabs weighing over 1.5 pounds now cost at least 120 yuan per kilogram on their side. This one costs at least 180 yuan. Tie up the green crab and put it in the bucket, and at this moment, Lu Xuexia is also very happy. The two of them continued to move forward. Although Li Xiaofeng found crabs under several stones on the map, they were all too small, and Li Xiaofeng did not remind Lu Xuexia. Along the way, Lu Xuexia picked up a few small sea snails. After walking forward for more than 10 meters, under the reminder of Li Xiaofeng, a red armored crab of about 3 liang and a green crab of about 4 liang were found under 2 stones. So, the two of them rushed towards the sea while moving forward. Unconsciously, I have moved away from the beach and arrived at a huge reef area. In the crevices of the rocks on the reef, it is the favorite hiding place for crabs. From the map, Li Xiaofeng has already discovered many crabs. Pointing at one of the stone crevices, Li Xiaofeng said to Lu Xuexia, "Mom, I saw a big crab here." After listening to her son's words, Lu Xuexia squatted down, took out her long pliers, and plunged into the deep crevice of the stone. It is also a technical task to successfully extract the crab from the winding crevices of the stone. Once the crab is damaged during this process, it cannot be sold at a high price. It took almost 10 minutes for a 7.8 liang green crab to be perfectly picked out by Lu Xuexia. I got a few tens of dollars again. Lu Xuexia is also very happy. Today's harvest has exceeded her usual harvest of traveling to the sea. She smiled and patted Li Xiaofeng's shoulder, saying, "Son, you're really lucky today. Keep searching carefully and see if you can find a few more crabs." "Okay, Mom." Seeing Mom was very happy, and Li Xiaofeng was also very happy. So, after a careful search in the reef area, the two of them finally caught a total of 12 green crabs. The largest one weighs only 3 pounds, it's like a crab king. Li Xiaofeng gave it a try, and the pliers, the size of a child's fist, could easily break a thin tree stick. The smallest crab also weighs over 2 taels. Of course, there must be more than just these big crabs discovered, but some are hidden too deep and the length of the pliers is not enough to be caught. Looking at the bucket full of crabs, Lu Xuexia couldn't help but be overjoyed. This is a huge gain for her, an old sea runner. You should know that just the crabs caught this time, selling them for over 1,200 yuan is not a problem. Looking at the bucket that was almost full, Li Xiaofeng was also very happy and said to Lu Xuexia, "Mom, we brought a small bucket today, and now it's almost full. Let's go back and bring another big bucket next time." Lu Xuexia stood up and looked at the bucket that was almost full, feeling very happy. She said, "Okay, let's go back now. Feng Zai, your luck today is really good. I usually come to rush to the sea, but I don't have this harvest." Two people carrying a bucket full of crabs, chatting and walking back. Passing by the beach, several women from the same village saw that the two of them seemed to be planning to go back, so they smiled and surrounded them, saying, "Xiaofeng Mom, why are you going back so early today? Can't it be that I didn't find anything? Things are indeed becoming increasingly difficult to pick up now." At this moment, the ant who approached glanced at the bucket held by Lu Xuexia and hesitated for a moment, saying, "Oh, so many crabs." Upon hearing her words, the other few quickly gathered around and looked at the bucket full of crabs, also startled. A middle-aged woman who lived not far from Li Xiaofeng's house quickly asked, "Xiaofeng's mother, where did you catch this?" Lu Xuexia pointed to the way and said, "I caught it in the reef area over there. When we arrived, there were too many people here, so we switched to that area. I didn't expect to find so many crabs." Upon hearing this, a few people didn't bother chatting and picked up clams. Carry the bucket and run towards the reef area. The atmosphere in the village is like this: when a good thing comes out of a place, many people flock to it. The mother and son, carrying tools and buckets filled with crabs, walked to the place where the electric scooter had just been placed and rode the bike towards home. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Catching Fish on Mudflat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Catching Fish on Mudflat. The mother and son both happily returned home. The reason why the two people are happy is different. Lu Xuexia is happy that she caught so many crabs today and can sell them for a lot of money. Li Xiaofeng was pleased to confirm that his idea was indeed feasible. Because she returned early today, after leaving Li Xiaofeng at home, Lu Xuexia rode an electric scooter and brought crabs to the town, preparing to sell today's harvest. After Lu Xuexia left, Li Xiaofeng took a few slices of watermelon from the refrigerator and lay on the recliner at home, eating the watermelon and enjoying the cool sea breeze. After finishing the watermelon, Li Xiaofeng picked up his phone and placed an order on Modong. As the saying goes, in order to do a good job, one must first sharpen their tools. He spent over 12,000 to order a complete set of diving equipment. Previously, Li Xiaofeng also watched many videos of people rushing to the sea. He saw a group of people rushing to the sea by diving and using fishing guns and arrows to fish, and their harvest was also very high. Today, while rushing to the sea by the seaside, he deliberately used the map of his talisman to check the situation in the sea. Seeing the big fish in the sea made him extremely happy. Others need to sail boats to search for fish everywhere in the sea, and then use fishing guns to fish, which can yield a lot of rewards. Not to mention this person with cheats. Although this is a fishing village, diving equipment is really not common here. Most fishermen still rely on traditional fishing methods, and there are no competitors here. In addition, he also spent over 4,000 yuan to order a fishing spear from a famous fishing gear master. According to the seller's introduction, this shark hunting device is not a problem, provided that you can shoot the fatal part of the shark. After buying the things, he felt dizzy on the lounge chair for a while and fell asleep at some point. When he woke up, it was already late and Lu Xuexia had not returned from selling crabs. Li Xiaofeng is preparing his own dinner for today. First, I cleaned some clams that had already spit out the sand, put them into a pot, add cold water, salt, ginger, star anise, and cinnamon, and simmer over low heat in the pot. At around 17:00, Li Yonglin returned from the fishing raft. Looking at Li Xiaofeng alone at home, he asked in confusion, "Fengzi, why are you the only one at home, your mother? Mom went to sell crabs in town." The two of them were chatting when Lu Xuexia returned with a joyful expression on her face. At first glance, the harvest is not small. "Mom, how much did you sell today?" Li Xiaofeng asked. "I sold over 1,300 yuan in total. Crabs alone sold over 1,200 yuan, while other clams and snails sold over 80 yuan. Lu Xuexia replied happily. "More than 1,300. Li Yonglin asked in surprise, "Have you gained so much from rushing to the sea today?" He is currently working tirelessly on the fishing raft for just over 200 yuan. Lu Xuexia looked at her son with satisfaction and said, "Today, it was mainly because of Feng Zai's good luck that he found more than 10 crabs. Usually, when I go to the sea alone, I don't have so much to gain." While his parents were chatting, Li Xiaofeng put the noodles into the pot and cut some small onions that grew in his own land. A bowl of delicious seafood noodles came out of the pot steaming hot. Accompanied by our own homemade seafood sauce, it's delicious. The three of them were happily eating while chatting. When only Lu Xuexia and Li Yonglin are at home, there is not such a joyful atmosphere at home. According to Li Yonglin's introduction, in about 10 days, the work on the fishing raft this year will be basically completed. This year, the growth and price of abalone are both good, and those who raise abalone should be able to make a lot of money. Li Xiaofeng calculated that in about 20 days, they will open the sea in October. After dinner, Li Xiaofeng chatted with his parents for a while. When chatting, I suggested that tomorrow, mother and son should go to the mudflat a little farther away from the village to catch the sea. There are puddles and pools everywhere, and the roads are quite muddy. There shouldn't be many people rushing to the sea. Today, while rushing to the sea, Li Xiaofeng specifically checked the map. Although there are not as many resources as the beaches here, they are not bad, and most importantly, there are fewer people. Lu Xuexia felt that her son's words made sense. Recently, there have been too many people rushing to the beach, so she agreed to his suggestion. The next morning, I woke up early. After breakfast, Li Yonglin went to work at the fishing raft, and the mother and son rode a small electric donkey to rush to the sea. Because there are many small ditches and pools where he went today, Li Xiaofeng also brought a plagiarism net. Considering that the bucket was too small yesterday, 2 people brought 2 buckets today. Riding on a small electric donkey, facing the morning glow, the gentle sea breeze brushes against my face. After riding for more than 20 minutes, when I arrived at the place, there were indeed not many people on the beach. Don't say anything, prepare to rush to the sea. Before going down to the beach, Lu Xuexia specifically reminded Li Xiaofeng to pay attention to foot safety and come up quickly if she felt leg pain. Li Xiaofeng could only nod repeatedly in agreement. Today I brought 2 buckets, one for each person. Li Xiaofeng picked up a small bucket, while Lu Xuexia picked up a slightly larger bucket. Just as she got off the mudflat, Lu Xuexia went down with a pair of pliers, and put a 1-meter long, 7 or 8 weight eel into the bucket. Taking a few more steps forward, a skinny shrimp entered the view. Li Xiaofeng was about to pick up the pliers when Lu Xuexia quickly picked it up again and put it into the bucket. Continuing forward, a large meat snail was sucking on a large stone in a small puddle, probably weighing 2, 3, or 2. Li Xiaofeng was about to go over and break it off when Lu Xuexia quickly walked over, broke it off, and put it into a bucket. Li Xiaofeng was stunned by this skilled movement. "Mom, you truly deserve to be an old sailor. This gaze, this movement, are all too powerful. I can't follow her, I don't have many opportunities to take action by following her. Mom, let's go to sea separately. Your movements are too fast, and I don't have many opportunities to take action with you anymore." Li Xiaofeng said helplessly to Lu Xuexia. "Okay, then let's part ways. But you must be careful of your feet." Lu Xuexia smiled and glanced at Li Xiaofeng, saying, "Mom, don't worry, my legs are already healed." I don't know why, but Li Xiaofeng always felt like his mother's gaze was a bit of a joke to him. Is this the first time I feel like I'm on my own and can't catch anything? I can't let my mom underestimate me, Li Xiaofeng said silently in his heart. Since they decided to separate, the two began to move in different directions to the depths of the mudflat. At this moment, Li Xiaofeng silently began cheating again and opened his map. Here is the boring time to catch fish according to the picture. With a pair of pliers, a mud snail enters the small bucket. There was a small puddle on the road, and Li Xiaofeng went down to catch the net one by one. He picked up a mud-fierce fish of about 3 tails. Li Xiaofeng quickly poured some turbid seawater into a slightly larger water pit and put it in a bucket. After not taking 2 steps, I saw another squid weighing 3 or 4, squeezing under a stone. Li Xiaofeng looked at it with disdain and thought to himself, I don't know, we have high technology, where can you avoid it? A few meters further forward, a green crab weighing about 1 pound was hiding under the reef, in the murky seawater. No matter how well you hide it, it's useless. Come on up. With a pair of pliers, I took it out and put it in a bucket. I got it for over 100 yuan. Continuing forward, we passed a slightly larger puddle. On the surface, the water puddle appears calm and there is no sign of any fish being caught. But Li Xiaofeng knew that a black snapper weighing about half a pound and a sea bass weighing over 1 pound were lying under the puddle. There's nothing to say, just go online and plagiarize. Looking at the sea bass and black snapper swimming in the bucket, Li Xiaofeng felt happy and decided to buy it for at least 150 yuan. Normal sea drivers do not have this efficiency. Just talk about these muddy puddles. You don't know which one has fish, so you can't try them one by one. How long will it take? There's no one like him who can catch one accurately. He grabbed another stone crab casually, and at this moment, Li Xiaofeng accidentally glanced at the map again. What is this? Ah! This is about to make a fortune. I am an enthusiast of sea driving videos and also enjoy reading novels related to sea driving. Besides, I can at least ensure that this book has an online IQ. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Shoal of Mackerel Fish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Shoal of Mackerel Fish. Originally, the map showed dense red dots in the small river ahead. Li Xiaofeng zoomed in and saw that it was all mackerel fish. This is encountering a school of mackerel fish. I didn't see it before. This group of fish should have just swam up from the sea along a small river. Li Xiaofeng roughly estimated that there must be over 2,000 of them. In fact, A school of thousands of mackerel fish can only be considered a small school among them. There are hundreds of thousands of large schools of mackerel fish, which rely on each other to resist predation. At this point, Li Xiaofeng also had no choice but to look for other sea goods. Carrying a small bucket, he ran up the riverbank of the small river. Upon reaching the riverbank, looking into the river, it was densely packed with fish with a body length of approximately 25.50 centimeters, spindle-shaped, and a blue-black back. This is exactly what they call the skewered shark here. Mackerel is a migratory fish, and September is now their fattest season. This should be a group of fish that just entered the small river by mistake. When Li Xiaofeng looked at the map when he just entered the mudflat, there was no such fish in the river. Due to the delicious taste and rich nutrition of mackerel, it is deeply loved by the people here. There is a saying among them that, mountain food partridges and deer, sea food shark and pomfret. Usually, the mackerel is only around 40 yuan per kilogram here. But now you should know that it's a fishing ban, especially at the end of the ban, and the fish in the cold storage are basically sold out. The prices of various seafood are constantly rising. The wild mackerel fish on the market now sells for over 80 yuan per kilogram. I really made a fortune now. Li Xiaofeng suddenly thought of something and ran towards the mouth of the small river, shouting loudly to Lu Xuexia. "Mom, Mom! Come over quickly." Upon hearing her son's shout, Lu Xuexia in the distance thought her son was injured and didn't even lift the bucket, so she hurriedly ran over in a panic. "Mom, look at the river," Li Xiaofeng said anxiously. Lu Xuexia looked into the river and was instantly stunned. On the narrow river surface, there are densely packed clusters of black berries. How many of them are there? "Mom, please call my dad quickly and ask him to take a leave to bring the boat over. With so many fish, we can't catch them all by ourselves, and there's nowhere to put them," Li Xiaofeng said anxiously. At this moment, Lu Xuexia woke up from a dream and hurriedly took out her phone to call Li Yonglin. As soon as the phone was connected, Lu Xuexia said anxiously, "You should hurry up and ask Boss Li for a leave, and sail to the east mudflat." It's the mudflat with a small river connected to the sea. Your son found a cluster of crows in the river. The river is full of fish. It's estimated that there are thousands of them. On the other end of the phone, Li Yonglin took a deep breath upon hearing these words and said decisively, "Okay, you guys wait there. I'll take leave right away." Seeing his mother hang up the phone, Li Xiaofeng quickly said, "Mom. Let's quickly build a dam here to prevent them from swimming back into the sea." "Yes, we need to build a dam quickly. If they swim back into the sea, they will be busy in vain," Lu Xuexia anxiously replied. The two of them hurriedly descended into the small river. Fortunately, the river was only over 1 meter deep, and even shallow areas near the seaside were only 50.60 centimeters deep. Otherwise, relying solely on the two of them would really be impossible to build the dam. First, I picked a relatively narrow area of the river channel. The two of them first brought in some stones, dug up some sediment from the shore, and hurriedly built a dam. After half an hour, when the dam was finally built, the two finally breathed a sigh of relief as the fish couldn't run away. At this moment, Lu Xuexia realized that her bucket was still where she had just run over. "Fengzi, you stay here and watch. Mom, go over and pick up the bucket," Lu Xuexia said to Li Xiaofeng. "Okay, Mom, hurry up and bring the bucket over. I'll take the fishing net and catch it first." In this way, more than half an hour later, when Li Yonglin arrived, the two buckets he brought home were full of fish, and some that could not be put down were thrown into the small puddles on the mudflat, alive and kicking. Li Yonglin was overjoyed to see so many fish. He first transferred the fish from the shore and barrels to the live water tank on the fishing boat, and then joined the fishing team with a fishing net borrowed from the fish flotilla. "We need to hurry up, there will definitely be other people rushing to the sea later. Although you discovered the fish and built the dam, this is a public area. Why don't you let others catch the fish? The three of them started working enthusiastically. First, fish the fish into the bucket, and when the bucket is full, transfer it to the live water tank on the fishing boat by the seaside. In no time, the live water tank will also be full, so just put it directly in the cabin. And so he kept catching for over 2 hours. I have caught at least over 1,000 fish now. The cabin, which is over 8 meters long, is almost full. We should have almost 3 tons of fish now. You should know that Li Xiaofeng's small fishing boat is only loaded with over 4 tons. At this time, some people on the mudflat began to come here intermittently, and the movement here soon attracted some people. Seeing the mackerel fish in the river, no one spoke politely and quickly jumped into the water, either using a fishing net or starting to catch the fish with bare hands. Of course, there are also those who shake people with their phones. As time goes by, there are more and more people in the river, and there are fewer and fewer fish caught. Watching more and more people in the river, the family of 3 had no choice but to stop. At this moment, the 3 of them looked at each other, and Lu Shuexia couldn't help but laugh first. 3 people's heads, faces, and clothes are all covered in mud and water, like 3 mud monkeys. The 3 people who stopped also felt back pain and soreness. After continuously catching fish for over 4 hours, Li Xiaofeng was already exhausted and couldn't straighten his waist. Mom! There are too many people now, and there aren't many fish left. Let's go back, suggested Li Xiaofeng. Lu Shuexia also thinks it's time to go back. The 3 of them discussed and arranged for Li Xiaofeng to ride an electric scooter and bring back the bucket and other sea driving tools first. Li Yonglin and Lu Shuexia sailed directly to the town to sell the fish they caught today. Li Xiaofeng, who was riding his bicycle on the way home, also saw people driving in the direction of mudflat from time to time, carrying buckets and copying nets. The news that a shoal of mackerel appeared in the east mudflat has been spread in several nearby villages. Li Xiaofeng, who returned home, was tired and hungry, but still managed to use solar energy and took a hot shower. After taking a shower and changing clothes, Li Xiaofeng was exhausted all over. I really didn't want to cook anymore, so I rode my electric scooter to the small shop at the village entrance and bought some cold dishes to bring back. When we arrived at the convenience store, the boss was not there, only the landlady was present. The landlady said that he also went to the east mudflat to catch fish. There were too many people in the river just now, and Li Xiaofeng really didn't notice. On the way back, there were people pointing at his back all the way. It is said that his family caught a lot of fish today and made a fortune, and there is also a saying that their family is not kind, only knowing that their family caught fish without notifying the villagers. Li Xiaofeng really wants to fan them. Before, when they went out to sea and found a school of fish, they didn't see them notify their home either. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Discussions in the village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Discussions in the village. After waiting for about 3 hours, Lu Shuexia and Li Yonglin finally returned from the town after selling the fish. Li Xiaofeng is on the lounge chair, almost falling asleep. Seeing the 2 of them returning with a cheerful expression, Li Xiaofeng knew that they must have sold a lot of money today. He quickly took out the braised vegetables placed in the refrigerator and placed them on the table. I brought out a few more bottles of cold beer. After the 3 of them sat down, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but ask, Mom, how much did the fish sell today? I sold a total of 373,800 yuan. A total of 6,230 kilograms, and for 60 yuan per kilogram, all of them were wholesale to the fish dealer. Lu Shuexia said with a smile on her face. Yes, with such a large quantity, if sold by oneself, although the price is relatively high, I don't know when to sell it. And now the weather is hot, and fish cannot be kept for a long time, so they can only be wholesale to fish dealers. More than 370,000 yuan, that would be enough to cover our family's income for several years. Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but smile at this moment. That's not it, this time it can support our family's income for 5.6 years. Thank you so much to Mazu. After dinner, I'll go to Mazu temple and pour some incense. Lu Shuexia also smiled very satisfied. At this time, Li Yonglin also smiled and said, Fengzai, you go and get my baijiu, I'll drink some with your mother later, and we will celebrate today. Li Yonglin and Lu Shuexia usually drink a little baijiu only in the evening, but seldom at noon. Okay. Li Xiaofeng smiled and took out Li Yonglin's baijiu. Li Yonglin's baijiu is made from Zayace's dung nades, ginseng, angelica, astragalus and other traditional Chinese medicines. It has the function of removing phlegm and dampness, supplementing the middle and nourishing qi. Many beach fishermen have some rheumatism, which has a good therapeutic effect on rheumatoid arthritis. Li Yonglin knew that Li Xiaofeng didn't drink baijiu, so he didn't call him. The three of them sat together, eating, drinking, chatting, and the atmosphere was so wonderful. Looking at his smiling parents, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but smile. Isn't that why he came back this time? Without realizing it, the three of them talked about their gains again. Lu Shuexia smiled and said, if you ask me, it's all because of my Feng Zai's good financial luck. Today, Feng Zai discovered a school of fish. We went out to catch the sea twice, and our income was over 1,300 yuan yesterday. Today, it suddenly reached several 100,000 yuan. Usually, when I go out to catch the sea, we only receive a few tens of yuan each time. Before it was even evening, the news of Li Xiaofeng's family's wealth spread completely in the village. Some people say his family sold over 400,000 yuan, some say it's over 600,000 yuan, and even some say it's over 1 million yuan. In short, all kinds of news are flying around. There are also many people in the village who speak sour words. It is said that their family is a white-eyed wolf, only concerned about their own wealth and not about their neighbors. They also said that their family had bad luck, some even say that their family is a nouveau riche and has no good karma. In short, there are various opinions in the village. Many people in the village just can't see others being good. After the news spread, even the aunties who had not come to their house for several years couldn't help but inquire about how much fish had been sold in the afternoon. Li Yonglin has been 3 siblings in his lifetime, with an older brother named Li Yongshu and a younger sister named Li Yongqin. Although they are biological brothers, their relationship is not good, and they even have a bit of an animosity. Li Yongqin has a good relationship with his elder brother Li Yongshu, but has little interaction with his second brother Li Yonglin. The disagreement between these brothers can be largely attributed to Li Xiaofeng's grandmother. For his grandmother, Li Xiaofeng has never felt any kinship between grandparents and grandchildren from childhood to adulthood. This grandmother has 2 completely different attitudes towards her eldest son and youngest son. That really leans towards the eldest son's family in everything, and looking at the youngest son's family too much makes one feel disgusted. For the 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter of the eldest son's family, holding them in the hand is afraid of falling, and holding them in the mouth is afraid of melting. But for the 2 grandsons and 1 granddaughter of the youngest son's family, they basically don't care at all, just like strangers. After raising the children of my eldest son's family, I would rather spend my energy on the card table every day than come to take care of these grandchildren. The key is that every time Lu Shuexia goes fishing at sea and hands them over to her, she always agrees with her heart out loud. After Lu Shuexia and the others left, they sat down on the card table and ignored the few children. Until one time, when Li Xiaofeng was a child crawling everywhere, no one looked at him and climbed into the neighbor's pig's nest. At that time, his hair was wet from the pig's lick. A distant relative who passed by saw it, and his soul was scared. Quickly picked him up from the pigsty. For this matter, relatives even had an argument with Li Xiaofeng's grandmother. This is the author's real experience when he was a child. When Li Yonglin and Lu Shuexia returned home and heard this news, they were almost scared out of their wits and had a big argument with their mother. Thinking about a while ago, my eldest daughter was also left to her mother, mother.in.law, to watch and almost drowned in the river. In addition, considering the experiences of their second son and the chilling things they usually do, the two of them have completely given up on their mother.in.law. This time, the two talents insist on separating. When dividing the family, my grandmother presided over the separation. My grandfather passed away earlier. Except for 3 seaweed houses and a small wooden boat, nothing else was allocated to the youngest son's house. And threatened that the youngest son's family would be poor for a lifetime. Is this what a mother can say? Aunt Li Yongqin is more obedient to her mother's words, and she has basically no contact with Li Xiaofeng's family in the future. From then on, the relationship between Li Xiaofeng and his uncle's family also grew further and further, and later they basically became strangers, walking and meeting without speaking. From then on, Lu Xuexia and Li Yonglin gritted their teeth, worked tirelessly to earn money, and even sent all 3 children out to college. And the grandmother leans towards the uncle's family, with only one youngest son going to college. After dinner and chatting, Lu Xuexia said to Li Xiaofeng, "Fengzi, I discussed with your father this afternoon when we were selling fish. Because Qiangzi has not yet bought a house or got married, we will give you half of the money for selling fish today. Qiangzi will give you half. Mom knows that it's your luck to catch so many fish today. This time, your younger brother has taken advantage of you." Li Xiaofeng frowned and said, "Mom, please pay off the debt our family owes to our uncle's family first. Leave the rest for Xiaoqiang to buy a house. If it's not enough, I still have it on me. I'm the eldest son, you will definitely follow me in the future, so we don't have to divide anymore." After listening to their eldest son's words, Lu Xuexia and Li Yonglin were also very pleased. In their village, there are too many brothers falling out over money. Because everyone was tired today, the whole family went to bed early. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Fishing for Perch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Fishing for perch. The next day, the family got up a bit late. Blue sky, white clouds, and a gentle breeze brushing against my face, it's another great day to travel to the sea. After finishing breakfast, Lu Xuexia felt that she needed to consult her son's opinion on where to go to the sea today. After all, her son is quite lucky now. So he asked, "Fengzi, are we going to the east mudflat to go to the sea today?" Li Xiaofeng hurriedly replied, "Mom, don't go to the east mudflat again today. There was fish yesterday, and today it must be crowded. Isn't it crowded with people?" In the morning, Li Xiaofeng looked at the map and found that there were more people than fish in the east mudflat, and each one went earlier than the other. "Where are you going today?" Lu Xuexia asked after her. "How about waiting for the 3 of us to go out to sea together and send Dad to the fish flotilla?" "We'll fish for bass near the fish flotilla," Li Xiaofeng replied. Now is the season for fishing for bass, and there are usually more bass near the fish flotilla and oyster fields. Lu Xuexia thought for a moment and felt that it made sense, so she agreed. After breakfast, I brought 2 hand poles, made a fishing net, and took some 9-section shrimp from the refrigerator as bait. I also brought some water and snacks, and the 3 of them set sail. In their place, although it is a fishing ban, it is still possible to go fishing at sea. But the limit is only 1 person, 1 rod, 1 hook, and the use of underwater fishing tools is also not allowed. A fishing rod is also a necessary fishing tool for fishermen here. Of course, most of them use ordinary rods, such as some professional fishing rods, which are not affordable for ordinary fishermen to play with. Amidst the roar of the diesel engine, 3 people rushed towards the fish flotilla where Li Yonglin was working. Li Xiaofeng stood beside and watched as Li Yonglin was piloting a fishing boat. This small fishing boat had also been driven by Li Xiaofeng before, but it became a bit unfamiliar if not driven for a long time. Li Yonglin glanced at Li Xiaofeng next to him and said, "Why don't you give it a try?" "No problem," Li Xiaofeng said as he took the rudder and started driving. At first, he was a bit unfamiliar and needed Li Yonglin to command beside him, but he was able to operate proficiently in no time. After driving for over 20 minutes, we arrived at the fish cutlet where Li Yonglin was working. After sending Li Yonglin to the fish flotilla, he opened the map and glanced at it. Li Xiaofeng then piloted his fishing boat towards a nearby sea area with a lot of bass. In no time, we arrived at the place. Turn off the boat, take out the fishing rod, and start adjusting the float. Lu Shuexia glanced at Li Xiaofeng and said, "Can you do it? Do you want Mom to help you adjust the float?" Li Xiaofeng looked at his mother speechlessly, feeling that he had been looked down upon again. After quickly adjusting the float, Li Xiaofeng hung the 9-section shrimp as bait and threw the fishing hook into the sea, quietly waiting for the fish to catch it. Blue sky, white clouds, brilliant sunshine, green water with clear waves, and a gentle breeze brushing against the face, living in it makes one feel relaxed and happy. Today is a great day for fishing and making money. In no time, Lu Shuexia first lifted a small, 2-liang weight green occupation fish. Picked off the fish and put it into the live water tank. A few more minutes later, Li Xiaofeng's float also moved slightly, then suddenly sank downwards. Li Xiaofeng quickly lifted the rod. A bass weighing about 1 pound was lifted out of the water, and Lu Shuexia quickly used a fishing net to help him pick up the fish. It is currently a fishing ban, and wild sea bass costs over 60 yuan per kilogram. Of course, this is the selling price on the market. If you sell the fish to a fish dealer, it's 40 to 50 yuan per kilogram. Pick the fish, put them into the live water tank, then change the bait and continue fishing. At this moment, Lu Shuexia also picked up a bass weighing about 2 pounds, and Li Xiaofeng quickly helped to catch the fish. In no time, Li Xiaofeng's fishing rod was lifted up again, and one bass weighing 7 or 8 tails was lifted up. After changing the bait, as soon as it was thrown into the water, the fish float was immediately pulled back into the water. This is connected. Keep working hard. Picking fish, changing bait, throwing rod, lifting rod, then picking fish, changing bait, throwing rod, lifting rod. Well, I feel like I'm just a ruthless fishing tool today. So, without realizing it, 2.5 hours had passed. Li Xiaofeng caught 7 sea bass, which should weigh 11 to 12 pounds. Lu Shuexia caught 10 of them, including 1 Qingzhan fish, 1 Shijiagong fish, and 8 sea bass, estimated to weigh 12 to 13 pounds. The harvest is quite fruitful. At this moment, a fishing law enforcement boat from a distance slowly sailed towards them. As they approached, 2 uniformed people got off the fishing boat. I carefully inspected their fishing boat and did not find any problems. I reminded them to pay attention to safety and then slowly drove away. Li Xiaofeng looked at the map and found that the fish under the water had already been caught by them. He suggested to his mother to change places. At this point, Lu Shuexia also felt that the time for catching fish was getting longer and longer, so she agreed to change places. Now she really thinks her precious son is a lucky star. She used to go out to sea to fish, but she has never had such a fast fishing speed before. Li Xiaofeng looked at the surrounding map and found a place with relatively more fish near the fish fillet area, then continued to work and continue fishing. I am just a ruthless fishing machine. I have been fishing for over 2 hours, and 2 people have also caught fish weighing 15 or 16 pounds. This adds up to almost 40 pounds of fish. Li Xiaofeng was lucky enough to catch 3 tiger fish. Although the 3 together weigh only 2 pounds, this thing is much more valuable than sea bass. These 3 tiger fish can be sold for 600 to 700. The tiger fish, also known as the stone fish or sea scorpion, is extremely ugly. Its body is covered with many tumor-like protrusions, like a toad or a rough rock, so it is also called the stone fish. This product also has a row of long thorns on its back, which are highly toxic and known as one of the world's top 10 poisonous fish. If it were to stab it once, it could be game over. But because this fish has a fresh and fragrant taste, and the meat is soft and tender, it is very popular in the market. So the price has always been high, and in their area, 1 kilogram of tiger fish can be sold for 300.400 yuan. At noon, Li Xiaofeng and Lu Xuexia had a simple meal on the fishing boat. The sun was getting stronger and stronger, so Lu Xuexia took a straw hat and put it on Li Xiaofeng. After finishing their meal and drinking water, the two of them changed places to fight and continued fishing. I fished for another 3 hours and caught over 20 pounds of fish. Among them, Lu Xuexia caught a big guy, a 7.8-pound bass, and the smooth fish slipped for 20.30 minutes. At this point, I can't fish because the sea is starting to pick up wind. I called Li Yonglin and asked him to follow someone else's boat back at night. Li Xiaofeng drove the boat, took Lu Xuexia, and headed towards the town dock. Selling fish for money. I feel like I'm playing single player. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Delicious Ginger Duck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Delicious Ginger Duck. Li Xiaofeng drove for over an hour before reaching the fishing port in the town. There are hundreds of fishing boats, big and small, parked in the fishing port. After the sea opens next month, the scene of all the fishing boats going out together is still very spectacular. Although the fishing ban period does not restrict fishing or fishing. However, there are still very few fishing boats willing to go out to sea at this time. Some people may think that fishermen are doing an unprofitable business, but in fact, the cost of fishermen going out to sea is not low. For example, Li Xiaofeng and his team spent more than 300 yuan on diesel alone, not to mention labor, on this trip to sea. And this is still their boat that is relatively small. If it is a large ship, the fuel cost will be even higher, and some will also include the wages of the crew. Now I can't go fishing, and it's basically difficult to make a profit just by fishing. So during the fishing ban, many ships are unwilling to go out to sea and would rather park their ships in fishing ports. This year, there will be a fishing ban from May to September on their side, and many fishing boats may stop here for only half a year. The annual fishing ban varies, and it usually lasts for 3.6 months according to the notice from the Fishing Administration. Some people may say that they can go fishing in the high seas. Firstly, many small fishing boats cannot reach the high seas, and now, in order to protect fishing resources, many parts of the high seas have also been converted into fishing bans. So many ocean-going fishing boats no longer go out to fish, only those large ocean-going fishing boats that can truly cross the ocean can go to the Pacific and Atlantic to fish. This kind of ship is also something that Li Xiaofeng dreams of buying, but it's not cheap, at least it costs tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Speaking of which, the mother and son entered the fishing port, and after arriving at the dock, someone was already waiting on the shore. The person who came was a purchaser from a seafood restaurant in the town, and Lu Xuexia had already called their boss in advance when she arrived. In fact, such seafood restaurants have a direct connection with many fishermen, only in this way can they purchase the freshest and cheapest first-hand seafood. There are only a few dozen pounds of fish in total, which can be kept in one hotel. Weigh and calculate directly on the dock. The sea bass weighs a little over 62 pounds, all of which are fresh wild live fish. All sizes of the hotel are reserved. Calculated at 60 yuan per kilogram, the weight is 62 kilograms, totaling 3,720 yuan. After these fish arrive at the hotel and are cooked, they are estimated to sell for several hundred yuan per kilogram. Of course, this is also someone else's skill. The price of tiger fish exceeded Li Xiaofeng's expectations. Wild or live tiger fish, the hotel offered a high price of 500 yuan per kilogram. However, this item was also considered a rare item during the fishing ban period. 3 pieces added up to 2.5 pounds and sold for 12.50. A total of 4,970 yuan was transferred directly to Lu Xuexia's mobile phone via WeChat. After receiving the money, Lu Shuexia couldn't help but smile. The net income from this trip to the sea is 4,970.300 yuan, and the fuel cost is 4,670 yuan. Even for two people, one person has an income of 2,335 yuan. This was something that Lu Shuexia rarely encountered when traveling alone to the sea before, unless it was extremely lucky. More importantly, the group of string crows I met yesterday can be said to be rare in 100 years, but today's sea fishing can be quite common. Lu Shuexia was also completely convinced of her son's luck. Her son is at the forefront of her financial fortune, and she has decided where to go for sea trips and fishing in the future. She still needs to listen to her son's advice more. After selling the fish, since they had already arrived in town, the women decided to add some inventory to their own refrigerator. Lu Shuexia still remembers that when she was fishing on the boat today, her son told him that he had not eaten ginger duck for a long time. She decided to buy a live duck from the vegetable market and kill it later. She would cook ginger duck for her son in the evening. The two of them walked slowly along the cement road on the dock towards the commercial area of the town. As the only deep-water fishing port in Jiangzhou City, the town has undergone significant changes in recent years. Li Xiaofeng remembers when he was in school before, there were not many buildings in the town, and the houses were similar to those in the village. But now the town is full of tall buildings and streets crisscrossing. Many brand stores have specialty stores in the town, creating a cityscape. When Li Xiaofeng was in junior high school, he attended the town middle school. At that time, he lived on campus. On Saturday afternoon, Lu Shuexia would come over by boat to pick him up and cook a lot of delicious food. On Sunday afternoon, she would set sail to bring him back. Previously, the school had a 1.5-day break, starting on Saturday afternoons. In the blink of an eye, more than a decade has passed, and I have also transitioned from a young and vibrant youth to the age of standing tall. And my mother, on the other hand, has gone from an upright and middle-aged age to an old age with graying hair. I really hope time, you can walk slowly. When passing by a hair salon, Li Xiaofeng used the excuse of going in for a haircut and pulled Lu Shuexia in, asking the barber to trim and dye her hair. Looking at his mother with all her hair dyed black, Li Xiaofeng felt at least 5 years younger and smiled satisfactorily, saying, "Mom, you can see for yourself whether after dyeing your hair, you look much younger. Now that you're 40 years old, no one will doubt it." Lu Shuexia looked at herself in the mirror, both happy and sorry for the over 100 yuan she had just spent dyeing her hair. After cutting their hair, the two of them went to the farmer's market and bought a freshly killed muscovy duck, as well as some vegetables and fruits. Seeing that it was getting late, he began to return to the fishing boat. After returning to the ship, Li Xiaofeng drove the boat to the gas station next to the dock, filled it up, and began to sail back. After arriving home, Lu Shuexia began to get busy. Ginger duck should be considered as their traditional food. Although it tastes good, it's really troublesome to make it. When many people first hear about ginger duck, they will think that the main character of this dish is duck. In fact, it is not. The real main character of this dish is ginger. Ducks are just side dishes. Lu Shuexia first cleaned a large amount of ginger, then cut them into thin slices and put them on a clean cutting board to air. Then put the brought back muscovy duck into a basin, add some water, and pour in a spoonful of salt. Soak for about 20 minutes. The main purpose of this step is to remove the blood and water from the muscovy duck. If it's in stale duck, you need to add some water to the pot. While soaking the muscovy duck, Lu Shuexia began to mix the sauce again. First, put a spoonful of rock sugar in the bowl, then add some home-soaked medicinal wine. If there is no medicinal wine, you can also add some baijiu, cooking wine or rice wine. Then add a spoonful of soy sauce, a spoonful of salt, and then prepare an appropriate amount of black sesame oil. If there is no medicinal wine, you can also use sesame oil instead. The amount of sauce can be adjusted according to the size of the duck. Then Lu Shuexia poured black sesame oil into the pot and heated it over low heat. Next, add 2/3 of the ginger to the pot and stir-fry it over low heat until it turns slightly yellow. This can enhance the flavor of the ginger and remove some of the spicy taste. Stir-fry until it is about 60% dry and remove the ginger slices. Finally, spread the freshly stir-fried ginger into the bottom of a washed clay pot at home, and add duck meat. Spread the ginger that was not stir-fried just now on the duck, pour in an appropriate amount of black sesame oil, cover the lid with low heat and simmer for 30 minutes. Then open the lid and flip the duck and ginger to avoid sticking to the pot. Next, cover the lid and let it simmer for another 15 minutes. Then add the sauce you just added, mix well, and let it simmer over low heat for another 40 minutes. Occasionally flip the duck in the middle to prevent it from sticking to the pot. Such an authentic ginger duck will come out of the pot. Ginger must be eaten, which is the soul of ginger duck. Lu Shuexia went to the vegetable garden again and picked a few tomatoes that were about to be abandoned. After cleaning, a small amount of white sugar was added, which was sour and sweet, and also Li Xiaofeng's favorite. After Li Yonglin got home, he started cooking, delicious. No matter how much money you spend outside, you won't be able to taste this flavor. During dinner, I heard from Li Yonglin that there will be strong winds at sea tomorrow and we cannot go out to sea. They were busy reinforcing the fish fillet this afternoon. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Chasing the Sea in a Strong Wind. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Chasing the Sea in a Strong Wind. After finishing their meal, Lu Shuexia and Li Yonglin were chasing a TV drama set by CCTV. Li Xiaofeng accompanied them for a while before returning to his own room and lying in bed chatting with his sister Li Xiaomei and younger brother Li Xiaoqiang. Lu Shuexia posted the information about the discovery of the mackerel fish yesterday in her own group, causing two people to keep asking questions in the group, transforming into two curious babies. While chatting, I found several people in the entertainment group of the department who had not spoken for a long time were roast about the new supervisor. The previous work group was already handed over by Li Xiaofeng when he resigned. The new supervisor doesn't keep his word, saying that performance is based on everyone's performance, but the final evaluation result is completely different, said Yi in the Wind. This is the employee who used to have the best monthly performance in Li Xiaofeng's department and also the best performance. It was also brought out by Li Xiaofeng when he was in junior high school. There are also a lot of people roast about the new supervisor, how rude the management is, and why he has received gifts from suppliers in private at this point. Some people are also talking about how the former supervisor Li was fair and considerate of his employees. I don't know who it was at this moment, so I said in the group. Did any one of you go see Director Li when he was injured? When Director Li leaves, do you have anyone to go and see him off? In the group, it instantly quieted down. Seeing this, Li Xiaofeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. He asked himself that when he was a supervisor, he was quite good to everyone. Whenever an employee encountered difficulties, he would help them with anything he could. But when he was injured, apart from his two good friends who came over, none of his employees really came to see him. It truly fully reflects the saying that people walk in the cool tea. Perhaps they heard that the company would dismiss him from his managerial position, or perhaps they heard that the company does not intend to renew his contract. But this practice really made him a little cold at that time. Perhaps this is the reality of the adult world, there is no right or wrong, only benefits. In the second half of the night, there was indeed a strong wind blowing outside the house. The howling wind and the sound of waves crashing against the rocks covered all the sounds in the world. The strong wind by the seaside is unimaginable for inland people in the depths. Many people think that there are also strong winds in the mainland, but when compared to the strong winds at sea, it's really a case of small things seeing big things. The sea is not always gentle. It may have been a long time since I heard the strong wind at home, and Li Xiaofeng was awakened from his sleep by the sound of the wind outside. He didn't fall asleep until the wind seemed to decrease a bit later. After not sleeping much for a while, he was awakened by the commotion in the room. Upon leaving, it turned out that Lu Xuexia and Li Yonglin had already woken up, carrying a mining lamp on their heads, pliers, nets, and buckets. They were going out to catch the sea. Looking at the slightly white sky outside, Li Xiaofeng asked in confusion, "Mom, are you going to the sea so early today?" Lu Xuexia replied with a smile, "There used to be strong winds at sea, but now the wind has decreased a bit. Let's go out early and take a look. I originally wanted you to sleep a little longer, but your father accidentally kicked the bucket onto the ground and woke you up." At this moment, Li Xiaofeng remembered that for fishermen, blowing strong winds on the sea was not only a loss but also an opportunity for them. It is precisely because of the strong winds at sea that the waves bring many fish, crabs, and other creatures from the sea, even deep sea, to the shore. It's a bit dangerous to rush to the sea at this time, but there will also be significant gains. Li Xiaofeng quickly said, "Dad, Mom, please wait for me for a while. Anyway, I'm already awake. Let's go together." After taking a glance at the map of the talisman, Li Xiaofeng quickly tidied up his personal hygiene, put on his clothes, and brought his tools. As a family of 3 rushing to the sea together, Li Yonglin couldn't sit on the electric scooter anymore, so he drove out the tricycle he usually used to collect fishing nets at home. "Let's go, rush to the sea." At this moment, Li Xiaofeng thought of something and said to Lu Xuexia, "Mom, let's bring an insulated box and some ice cubes over." Lu Xuexia also instantly understood her son's meaning. She hurriedly took another foam incubator and put some ice cubes into it. The family drove a tricycle towards the beach in the early morning light. Although the wind has become much smaller than before, the waves by the seaside are still quite strong. They are not the earliest to come either. There are already several lights moving on the beach, and some of the early sailors are already rushing to the sea. There is never a shortage of hard-working people among fishermen. After entering the beach, the 3 of them separated and each picked up the seafood on the beach. A golden pomfret of about 3 taels lay motionless on the beach. Li Xiaofeng caught it and found that the fish had died. He opened his gills and looked at it, but it was still red, indicating that the fish had not died for a long time. So he put it in a bucket. Taking a few more steps forward, in the small puddle in front of him, there was a golden drum eel weighing about 7 taels, still snorting in the puddle. Li Xiaofeng used a fishing net to collect it into a bucket and added a little seawater to the bucket. Continue to strive. Not far away, there was another 1-pound perch lying on the beach. Just as I picked it up, a foul smell came from me. When I opened the fish gills, it turned black, indicating that the fish had gone bad and had to be unfortunately thrown away. Continuing forward, he saw a big red eel weighing about 2 pounds wriggling on the beach. Li Xiaofeng didn't dare to grab it with his hands and picked up pliers to clamp it into the bucket. Sure enough, strong winds and waves are both challenges and opportunities. There are so many seafood on the beach usually. Keep fighting. As the sky gets brighter, there are also more and more people on the beach. Li Xiaofeng carefully looked at the map of the detector again and found Li Yonglin and Lu Xuexia who were still busy rushing to the sea. He said, "Dad, Mom, there are more and more people here now. Let's change places." Lu Xuexia asked in confusion, "Where are we going then?" "Go to Scorpion Reef, where there are reefs and rock formations everywhere. With such a big wave, there will definitely be many fish washed into the rock formations." Scorpion Reef is a chaotic rocky beach on their side, with numerous cliffs and rocks, posing a certain level of danger. Because there is a large reef in the shape of a scorpion, the locals call it Scorpion Reef. Seeing more and more people on the beach, "Okay, let's go to Scorpion Reef." Lu Xuexia clapped the board and said. So Li Yonglin drove his tricycle to Scorpion Reef again. Lu Xuexia and Li Xiaofeng sat in the carriage, transferring some dead or dying fish to the insulated box and covering it with ice. If you don't freeze them, some fish will probably stink when they return. Actually, Li Xiaofeng had looked at the map several times before and had already wanted to come over. But because it wasn't completely bright before and Scorpion Reef was littered with rocks, it was a bit dangerous, so I didn't suggest coming over. After more than 30 minutes, the three of them arrived at Scorpion Reef. Giant waves were crashing against the rocks, splashing out splashes of water and emitting a roar. There is no one in the entire Scorpion Reef except for their family of three. 3 people brought their tools and quickly got off the beach. A green crab weighing about 1.5 pounds enters the field of vision, but unfortunately one foot is disabled and it will be sold for a considerable amount of money. Put pliers into the bucket. Keep moving forward. A half-pound octopus is hiding under a stone in a puddle, with nothing to say, using pliers to put it into a bucket. Oh, is there anyone? Don't always make the author play single player, it's not very motivating. End of this chapter.